I'm Tom, and Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua. How serious is this? I don't know. But Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has actually responded to this by putting a screenshot of him on a call to Jake Paul saying, like, 2026 with a little shush emoji, something along those lines. I can't remember exactly how the response went. But Jake Paul called out Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua then replied to that. And he said he's up for fighting Jake Paul. And this is, I think, an element of when there's no regulations. And by that, I mean, you know, when you play football, you're part of a football team. When you play rugby, you're part of a rugby team. In boxing, you know, UFC, in MMA, there's UFC. There's not really that in boxing at the moment. It means you are free to do what you want. And that's great. That is a really good, positive element of boxing. That freedom to, I'm hesitant to say express yourself, but that freedom to make money in ways other sports don't let you. But Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a bit crazy because, you know, Jake Paul's what, 5'10", 5'11"? AJ's 6'6". Jake Paul's now a heavyweight at 220 pounds, whatever it is, and he looks way, way, way too big. AJ's like 250 lean. They're not the same caliber of athlete at all. And part of me thinks this is a joke and it's not going to happen. But then part of me thinks, as we all know, and I say it time and time again, and I'll say it time and time again, money talks. Money really talks, especially in boxing, which makes me think actually there's a chance this could happen. There's a definite possibility this may well happen after AJ's retired, because AJ's not retired yet, so he's not going to be looking for that sort of quick cash grab, which is what this is, because, you know, AJ would get him out of there in a minute. It would take all but 10 seconds. It would take 30 seconds being generous. AJ would land a punch and Jake Paul would be scared. So it is just a cash grab. I don't think Jake Paul really believes that. Now, when you go into camp, when you're training to fight someone, you do think you're untouchable. You know, you do, because of the training and the conditioning, but also that's the mindset you have to be in going into a fight. You have to be in the mindset of, I can beat anybody I step in there with. You need to be in the mindset of any single person I step in the ring with, it's game over. It's game over. That's the mindset you need to have when you step into the ring. So part of me is like, look, maybe, but the reality of it is, I don't think Jake Paul really thinks he can beat AJ. Look, I know AJ's come off the back of quite a heavy knockout loss to Daniel Dubois. I know. I hear that. I get that. Jake Paul isn't Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul isn't even close to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul couldn't even beat Tommy Fury, but he expects us to believe he can beat Anthony Joshua. How about you step in there first with KSI, who you seem to be scared to fight? How about you step in there first with Tommy Fury and avenge that loss before you step in there with AJ? And AJ, how about you get your title back, finish your career before we start looking at things like Jake Paul? It's a really weird space when you've got the likes of AJ, Beterbiev, Dubois calling out Jake Paul. And fair play to Jake Paul, because he's played into this villain character where everybody wants to beat the villain. Everybody wants to kind of kill Jake Paul. That he's got the choice of who he fights. You know, if Benavidez and Bivol fight, we could end up seeing Beterbiev versus Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of time we're talking about right now, where we're really talking about high caliber, the best of the best boxers fighting Jake Paul. And it's really strange. But in regards to this fight, let's have it right. AJ would flatline Jake Paul in about 30 seconds. So I don't think Jake Paul is being serious. But what it does is it grabs headlines again. That's what it does. It puts Jake Paul back in the headlines, back in the talking point, back in the limelight. Who's he going to fight next? Is it going to be AJ? Is it going to be Beterbiev? Will it be Dubois? Who's he going to fight next? We're all wanting to know. and we're all talking. So ultimately, it does what he wants it to do. That's my thoughts on it all anyway. Do I think this will happen? No, not for a very long time anyway. Do I think it should happen? Absolutely not. Jake Paul would get knocked out in all of 10 seconds. But people, you let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, a comment, and a subscribe. You know how all this stuff works, people. Peace.